All right. Well, I am so thankful to have you both on here, Kayleigh and Riley, both former graduates of our exercise science program here at UWF and graduated December of 2020, right? It's been about a year ago that you all were finishing in a pandemic, and we might even get a chance to talk about that. But let's go ahead and just start with telling everyone who's watching where you're currently studying. And Kayleigh, we'll go ahead and start with you and go to Riley.
I am currently in Fort Wayne, Indiana at Huntington University studying occupational therapy, earning my doctorate degree.
Okay. And Riley?
And I'm at the University of South Alabama in Mobile, and I'm earning my master's degree in occupational therapy.
Awesome. Well, I know that you guys had talked to me about some classes that you enjoyed, and we'll kind of just go popcorn style, jump in wherever you feel you want to contribute. But the courses, based on what you're going through now, you're both in your essentially freshman year, so to speak, of your OT programs. What have you looked back on in your preparation from UWF that led to like where you're feeling now of, man, I'm so glad I had that course?
So I think that the functional kinesiology class was one of my top ones that I go back to. I even use my book from undergrad for my cadaver lab I have now. I think it's super beneficial. I also think biomechanics, because that really relates. I have a kinesiology class, but it's biomechanics based. And research methods also, because research is a huge deal in grad school. I don't know if Riley has anything to add to that.
Yeah, so I agree with all of those. Kinesiology is like the biggest thing. The origin, insertion, action, innervation type stuff. I'm literally learning that right now. So already having learned that once, I'm just kind of refreshing. And then special populations, knowing all the different diagnoses like osteoarthritis and atherosclerosis, those kind of things have helped a lot because we deal with patients that have those type of conditions.
I know, Riley, we talked a little bit about, some of your peers in the program aren't necessarily coming from exercise science backgrounds. What are you experiencing as far as like, and maybe you don't necessarily know, but how is their preparation coming in compared to your preparation, would you say? And anything you have to contribute there, Kayleigh, as well?
Yeah, so we have a lot of people coming from a lot of different backgrounds. Like some people in my program have business majors for their undergrad, and some are from like psychology. But I've definitely noticed those with exercise science backgrounds or like biology or something more human body based are a lot better prepared. And like Kayleigh said, I also use my kinesiology book. So I brought that to class a few times and they're like, oh my goodness, where did you get this? And I'm like, oh, it's from undergrad. And they're like, oh, well, so it's definitely cool being able to see where different people come from.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have people from like psych majors and different things. I can't think of other specific ones, but I know that with like the biomechanics and anatomy background that we have with exercise science has been super beneficial.
How about your internships? What did you both do for internships here in Pensacola? I know you guys were a little bit outside of the Pensacola area, but what internship did you do? How did you how did that prepare you for where you're at? And any recommendations that you would have for anybody watching this about internships?
So I did mine at Sacred Heart in the pediatric department. It was inpatient and outpatient. I loved it so much. I highly recommend anyone interested in peds does their internship there. It prepared me so much. I was able to really participate and engage with the clients. And there was a lot of different therapists I got to work with, not only PTs or OTs, but PTs and speech. So it was really cool to see how they like co-treat, and being able to see the outpatient and the inpatient was really cool. But I think it prepared me so much for grad school.
And then I did mine in the acute care setting at West Florida Hospital in Pensacola, so right down the road from UWF. And like Kayleigh said, I felt like it prepared me a lot for OT school. Just getting experience within the field and working with people in a professional environment was very helpful. So like advice, if you have an area where you feel like you want to pursue, definitely try and get an internship there. Because even in OT school now, I'm able to like pull examples from my internship experience. And at South Alabama, we do these things. It's a sim lab where we have actors as patients and we have to work with them. So just already having that client-based experience is helpful a lot to be comfortable treating people.
Awesome. So anything that even as faculty that we can learn from, but have there been any sort of things in your own preparation, things that you wish you would have learned at UWF, things that we could have done better, things that, you know, you're learning now and saying, oh, I wish I had, maybe even just to those who are currently in their preparation, looking at different graduate programs, what kind of advice would you have for them now to best prepare for where you guys find yourselves?
The biggest thing that I can think of, and it's more a whole on my part than the program's part, but making sure you retain the information that you're learning now, because I know with kinesiology specifically, we already had learned origin, insertion, and action in that course. And I got into my neuromuscular class now, and they're having us relearn all of that. And so a lot of people like the business majors and stuff, they're just now seeing it, but we already had to learn that once. So I'm like, if I would have just retained it, I could have been ahead of everybody, but now I'm just having to refresh myself on it. So definitely making sure you retain the information and aren't just learning it for like a test. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree. I have a cadaver lab now, so I have to do all the actions, origin, insertion, everything, including innervation, which I feel like we did not focus on in undergrad. So I think innervations would be super beneficial to know because those are kind of overwhelming to see like first. But so just retaining the information like Riley said, and then like also for biomechanics, when I got into my kinesiology class and saw that it was biomechanics based, I was like, oh man. So I even pulled up my PowerPoints from undergrad at the beginning for the intro of biomechanics. And I think it helps a lot to really try to take that information in undergrad. I know in grad school we have like quizzes weekly. I think that really helps maintain the information. Like when you get to an exam, you're like super prepared. So I don't know if that's anything anyone wants to try to do, but I think having that in undergrad would have really helped me in grad school to like be able to be doing that.
Awesome. So you two very well may have known early on that you wanted to go to OT, but as you were, you know, incoming exercise science students, how did you make that decision? You know, for anybody watching who's still trying to figure out, like, do I want to go OT? Do I want to go PT? Do I want to go PA? You know, how did you navigate that decision making? And really, this is kind of a totally different question, but what advice would you give for people who are thinking about graduate school, going on to one of those programs? What advice?
I would say my number one advice would be to get out there and observe, shadow. You could just do it for a day and see if you even like it at all. And even if you're interested in PT and OT, do one and do the other and see which one you like better. Like, and plus, like if you do both, then you already have hours going towards whichever you choose. And getting those hours in early will help you not stress when you're applying for grad school.
Awesome.
I agree with Kayleigh, mainly just getting out there and experiencing it in the field, and also talking with other students and just professionals in the field on why they chose it helps a lot, just to get a better understanding.
Something else I find helpful is social media. So in undergrad, I started following a bunch of occupational therapy bloggers, and I think that really like they'll like explain what OT is or like what they do or a day in their life. And I think that really helps. So like using social media is a big benefit.
Kayleigh actually started an Instagram for OT.
Yes.
If anybody wants to look at it.
You've got an Instagram what, Kayleigh?
I have an occupational therapy based Instagram.
Okay.
It's growth.ot.
I'll have you send that to me via text, and then we'll put that in the link under the video. So
it just started though, so I don't have that much information on it, but
hey, they can be early in.
Yeah.
With that said about, those are great suggestions. Appreciate those tips. How about the actual application process? Who did you guys go to for letters of recommendation? You don't have to give specific names, but like, how did you narrow down that list, or even be able to create relationship with people that felt comfortable writing you letters of recommendation?
Definitely for letters of recommendation, making sure you get involved and you make relationships with your professors and with like people in the field, like your internship supervisor. Because whoever writes your letter of recommendation needs to be able to vouch for you and know about you, and can talk about qualities that'll make you a good OT. So definitely something along those lines.
Okay.
Yeah, I think getting involved is a big thing. So like I know me and Riley are both in the exercise science club, and then any like outside of school too, like volunteering or anything like that, I think really helps to like, because you can tell that person that you want to write your letter of recommendation, like different things you've done. And then really taking the time to build relationships with your professors, like showing that you care about their class, you care about school, like all those things really, really, really help.
Speaking of relationship, maybe you two can speak both to the relationship, friendship that you two formed, and how that enabled you guys to be successful in your undergraduate degrees. And then, how are you seeing, obviously it's early, so you're still trying to make those relationships in your new programs, but the benefit of making sure you're not doing life alone, so to speak. First, let's just talk about you guys becoming friends in undergrad, and then how you're seeing that play out now. Obviously, you guys still have that friendship in two different locations, but how important was it for you in your academic success to develop that friendship in undergrad?
So we became friends at the beginning of exercise science program, so that was really helpful. We pretty much just like started studying together constantly. Like anyone who was in the program with us knew that we were always together, always. We would go to the library and study together. I think it's really helpful to find those people that you study well with, because sometimes like it's fun to go study in a group, but you may not study well with those people. But yeah, I don't know if Riley has anything to add to it.
No, I really just agree. We definitely, from the start, just started studying together all the time, being able to bounce ideas off each other, or like we had different strengths. So I could teach Kayleigh a certain area in a certain class, and then she could teach me for another, and just quiz each other, practice certain things like blood pressure on each other. That was very helpful.
Palpating, because kinesiology practicals, we used each other a lot. So finding someone to practice those kind of things outside of the classroom, super helpful also. And I think the accountability part, like we were always staying on top of our stuff, but it's easy to forget things sometimes, but like Riley would be like, hey, I just turned this in, did you turn it in? I'd be like, oh no, I didn't. So it's super helpful to have those kind of people.
And so now you are, both of you are, several hours from home, and know where you're at, Kayleigh, you're at least in area of where some family and some, comfort is, and the same thing for Riley, being, just a couple hours from home, but you're having to make home in a new environment. So how has that been in that transition? And is there a cohort type experience for you that enables kind of that built-in friend group, at least, or at least study buddies or something along those lines?
I think the biggest thing is making sure you get involved wherever you do end up. Like you said, so you're not doing life alone. I know our cohort, we're together like 5 days a week, all day, every day. So it's definitely, I want to say, easy to build relationships with people in your cohort. You guys have the same interests too. And we're all in the same classes. So finding people that you can study with and that you study well with is big. I know, like Kayleigh said, sometimes we get in big groups of people and we all just want to chat instead of study. So that's hard, but relationships are important. So making sure you find friends, find study buddies definitely helps. And then get involved in the community, like find a church, things like that. Because like you said, it is hard being away from family, but It's definitely important.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like Riley said, it's easy to make friends. I don't know if that's for every grad school program, but like with my cohort, I feel like we all connected so well. But we have like these certain people in our cohort that like took the like I guess the leadership role in making sure we got together. Like we would even there's like one person that's super big on us all like building relationships. So she invited us out to all go to like a baseball game together. So like do those things outside of school too to like actually build friendships, not just like have these people that you go to school with, but also outside of school, go to church, go do something else in the community to find other friends because you will be spending so many hours with the same people every day. But it's great. It's so great because you're all doing the same thing. You're all there. Like you all have the same goal. There's no competition anymore. Like you just have to pass. So I really love having the cohorts.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. It sounds like diversifying is important, being present where you're at, making those connections. And it sounds like you are spending a lot of time studying. Well, I appreciate you both so much and the time that you have taken with us. I'm going to stop the recording here. Don't jump off so I can chat with you just a little bit longer. But anything else you'd like to share before we stop?
I know it's stressful if you want to go to grad school, but it's definitely worth it. The application process will be the worst part, but you will get through it. Definitely keep going. Like if you want to do it, do it.
All right. Well, thank you again. And we will be sharing this with everyone else. And if there's any questions that come from our students, I'll make sure to pass them along to you two as well.